Welcome learners to this new session of B.A.Subsidiary Part 2. The topic today is Animal Farm by George Orwell, Lecture 4. Animal Farm resumes normal life, but winter comes with its own share of hardships. This time in the shape of Molly, who is never working and feigning injury all this while. Fed up of coaxing, Clover decides to confront her, saying that he has seen one of Mr. Pilkington's men stroking Molly's nose over the edge, dividing Animal Farm and Foxwood. Molly appears visibly embarrassed, but denying vehemently, gallops away. Not satisfied, Clover decides to have an eye on Molly. Not all is well, and Clover soon finds ribbons and lumps of sugar stashed under the hay in Molly's stall. A few days later, she disappears from Animal Farm. The pigeons later report that Molly was found pulling a decorated cart and was all decked up with ribbons, appearing content and happy as the man kept feeding her with sugar cubes and stroked her nose, a perfect picture of happiness. From that day on, no one spoke about Molly and her whereabouts. Winter time had turned the farmland very hard for farming, so the animals engaged themselves differently. They frequently had meetings in the barn to discuss ways of farming in the next season. It is now a general consensus that the pigs will make all the policy decision with no opposition from anyone. But Snowball and Napoleon constantly disagree over issues and have their own set of loyal supporters. Snowball is the more effective orator and is better able to convince animals to side with him during the meetings, while Napoleon is adept at garnering groundwork behind the scene. Napoleon influences the sheep, prompting them to burst into constant chants of four legs good, two legs bad during the important moments of Snowball's speeches. Snowball is the more progressive one, promoting new concepts to make the farm run smoothly. Napoleon is certain to oppose every new move of Snowball just for the heck of it. The windmill becomes the bone of contention between the two. It is Snowball who has designated a piece of land for the windmill and which would provide electricity and alter the heretofore primitive face of the farm. He takes cue from Mr. Jones's books and drafts a blueprint of the windmill, which fascinates the animals and convinces them of the shorter work week of 3 days only. Napoleon, the spoil sport that he is, counters with the idea that production of food must be the priority. Otherwise, the animals may starve to death. Soon the divided farm is split into two groups, one called Vote for Snowball and the 3 day week, the other Vote for Napoleon and the full manger. The only animal not to take any sides is the cynical donkey Benjamin. According to him, whoever be the leader, the situation is going to be the same. That is the donkey's cynical attitude. Another debated topic between Snowball and Napoleon is how best to prepare for another human attack on the farm. Snowball advocates the use of the pigeons to rally with the other animals and be prepared, whereas Napoleon is of the view to procure firearms and training as well of the firearms. Poor animals could not be swayed to support any one of them because they could not decide who is right. Eventually, Snowball prepares the final draft of the blueprint for the windmill and also garners support of a majority of animals in a meeting. Abruptly, All hell is let loose when Napoleon signals. 9 enormous dogs wearing brass studded collars barge into the barn and chase Snowball out of the farm. He narrowly escapes through the hedge. Once again, Napoleon takes center stage and announces that the meetings with debates from now onwards would cease, and the new committee, comprising of pigs, would take decisions. The animals were too exhausted to protest, except for the 4 pigs, who mildly disapproved. Squealer now calls Snowball a criminal. He further adds that discipline, comrades, iron discipline, that is the watchword for today, and ensures that their compliance by threatening Mr. Jones's return to the farm. So their animals, they are always in fear of Mr. Jones returning back. Soon spring season takes over and old Major's skull is placed at the base of the flagpole beside the gun. The animals no longer sit together. The dogs and other pigs gather around Napoleon, Squealer, and another pig named Minimus. Just 3 days after Snowball's ouster, Napoleon announces plans to build the windmill. Squealer makes clear that Napoleon was never against windmills. In fact, it was his basic idea, later copied by Snowball. Thus, the feigned opposition of Napoleon was simply a maneuver in his plan to expel the disobedient Snowball for good. And no doubt, it was a brilliant tactics. To be continued. Thank you.